For a long time, the Mark 7 Ford Fiesta ST was renowned as, in most people's opinions, probably the best 200 horsepower hot hatch on the market. And used now, they are a fantastic buy. So this car, the Mark 8 Fiesta ST, has a lot to live up to. So let's tell you a bit more about this particular ST. This is an ST-3, which is the top of the range car. Comes with all sorts of nice luxuries inside, such as the part leather, part suede seats, heated steering wheel even. And this one in particular has got a really nice spec as well. So this comes with the super desirable performance pack, which if you're buying a Fiesta ST, it's probably a good idea to go for one with the performance pack. And then as well as that, this one also has panoramic roof, driving assistance pack, LED lights. It's a pretty fully loaded car. So here we are, out on the road in the Fiesta ST Mark 8. So this car, having the performance pack, means it does come with fancy bits like a limited slip differential and launch control. But firstly, we'll talk about the more sensible elements. So a lot of people are going to be buying this car as a daily driver, especially while they're still at the higher end of the price point for hot hatches. These are only a few years old. So in terms of daily drivability, the amount of kit you get, especially on a car like this, with being the ST3, pretty much all the options ticked, including the B&O stereo system, which sounds pretty great to be honest. In terms of actual daily drivability, it's a really nice car. I find it comfy, the seats are really comfy. Obviously comes with a lot of specs. If I was to fault it on one thing, the ride comfort, it's a little bumpy, it's quite a firm ride. I mean, you have to sort of expect it for a performance car of the likes, but it's worth noting that the suspension is a little bit on the firm side, especially on these little bumpier country lanes like we're on now. But we're now going to turn on to the dual carriageway, see what it's like on there. And you can tell straight away, just going around a roundabout at a sensible pace, that it feels like a very light car. The front end feels quite nimble. The steering is nice and responsive as well. So up to cruising speed, and I mean it is comfy enough, it's nice enough. There's a little bit of wind and road noise, but I mean it is a very windy day today, so I'm sure that is playing a part in it. So let's talk about the performance now. So obviously Ford have made the bold move of moving away from their brilliant recipe of the 1.6 litre turbo 4-cylinder, which has brought them so much success. It's obviously probably the most popular hot hatch out there, and replace that engine with a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo, which is quite a move. It's a strange one, but they've managed to get as much performance, if not a little bit more, out of this car. So it's got 197 brake horsepower, 214 pound-foot of torque, and can do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. So it's pretty much on the ball with your kind of benchmark for hot hatches around the 200 horsepower mark. What made the Mark 7 Fiesta ST so popular was not just the engine, which was great, but it was also the way it went round corners. It had a fantastic chassis, and since the Renault Sport Clio moved over to its automatic-only platform, that car kind of dropped off, I think, as the top player in the hot hatch game. So without further ado, we're going to turn on to a bit more of an interesting road, put the car in sport mode and see what it can do. So the first thing you notice with sport mode is the exhaust tone changing slightly. A little valve is open there to allow a little bit more noise, and also some nice little pops and bangs when you're going for it. It doesn't sound too bad at all for a 3-cylinder, that's for sure. Certainly not a slow car, that's for sure. You can really feel the kick from that turbo. You would never think that it's a 3-cylinder engine, honestly. And I guess the perk of that is the fuel economy when you are not sending it is pretty good. We're managing to get around 40 mpg out of this car quite happily. Right, so now we're out on a bit more of a road that the car is made for. We start to have a bit of fun with it. Now the first thing you notice is it's got a good bit of punch to it, and like I said earlier, the steering's nice and light and just easy to use. It feels very direct. It is definitely a car with very good handling. Of course, the addition of that limited slip diff will be putting it ahead of a lot of its rivals, and you can really feel it being used as you put the power on coming out of a corner. It just feels very nice and nimble. So if I was to compare this to say a Polo GTI that I've driven, the Polo would be a nicer car daily, that's for sure, but the handling just doesn't feel as sharp and as direct as this ST. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Brakes, they feel pretty good, not anything special, but work well enough for the car. Now, one thing that a hot hatch really needs to get right is the gearbox. If it doesn't have a nice gearbox, it just spoils the whole experience. I think that having a nice manual in a car like this, they're built to handle nice, and having that extra driver involvement of the manual gearbox is absolutely crucial in my eyes. So they need to get it right. And have Ford done that? Yeah, I think so. This gearbox feels nice and notchy. It's just nice. It feels sporty. It's really easy to heel toe shift in this car as well. This car that I'm driving has got a short shifter fitted, which will be helping its case, but nevertheless, it feels fantastic to use. It just makes even just everyday driving that little bit more fun. So to try and give you like a quick summary of this car, I'm going to list 3 things that I really like about it and 3 things I'm not so keen on. So 3 things I really like about this car. The spec level is lovely. You get a lot of luxuries in this. You feel like you're in a much more premium car in a lot of ways. Another thing I love is the chassis. The chassis is brilliant, and combined with that limited slip differential, this is a car with really great handling. And then lastly, I think that it sounds great. It's a lot of fun even with the standard exhaust. With that sport mode on, the little pops that you get when you get up high in the revs and lift off, and when you're changing gear, it sounds great. It really is a lot of fun. So, 3 things that I don't like about the Mark 8 Fiesta ST. So, number 1 will be the plastics in the interior. It's typical Ford. The interior, although it's got a lot of nice luxuries, it is still quite plasticky. There's a lot of plastic around, which just feels a bit cheap and nasty. Second thing will be the ride quality. Although I know it's going to be a bit more set up for being sporty, some of the bumpiness over the less smooth roads is quite bad. It can be a bit of a bumpy ride in here, and if you're regularly commuting on roads like that, it may be a factor to consider whether you buy this car or not. And then lastly, to be honest, it was a little bit difficult to think of 3 things because I do genuinely quite like this car. But the last thing I'll say is that the key hasn't changed from the Mark 7, so it feels a bit old. It still feels like you're in the older car when you're looking at the key. Though it's nice they put the ST badge on it, they could have just done a bit of a refresh of that key design. So overall then, would I recommend this car? Yeah, I'd say so. This one in particular is currently up for sale at just under £16,000, and I think it offers great value for a modern, high-tech, high-spec hot hatch, which still has a lot of that feel of the old-school cars. So, thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out our website, we've got this car and many other nice ones up for sale at the moment, and please leave a comment with which car we've got in stock that you'd like to see a review on next, and we'll be sure to make it.